everybody. Hello, hello. My name is Morgan Stickney, and I am filling in for Tommy with the Portland Regional Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to Eat and Peabody's Growth Basics for Business, our monthly business breakfast seminar series, which provides a forum to gain useful do-it-yourself workplace solutions and insightful, actionable tips. I want to thank Eat and Peabody for allowing us to bring you this virtual event series for the entire season. And I'd also like to welcome you all to our 8th installment of the Growth Basics series, the 10-part season-long series that runs from September through June 2023. Today's topic is Get a Grip on Your Business, Clarifying Your Company Vision, presented by Laura McDowell of EOS Worldwide. And this topic will highlight how being on the same page with your team can help your business become more profitable, sustainable, and easier to manage. Like all of the Chamber's virtual signature events, today's presentation is free and will be recorded and made available for free replay on the Chamber's website and YouTube page. To keep up to date on all the Chamber's news and events, visit our website, portlandregion.com. Check out our events page and sign up for our weekly email newsletter. Before we get to today's presentation, I'm excited to share that we are using the online broadcasting platform StreamYard for all virtual Chamber events. This platform provides many improved production and interaction elements that I think you'll be happy to see. I'd also remind you that if you have any questions for our presenter, please type them in the chat and we will relay them to our presenter at the end of the presentation. At this point, I'd also like to acknowledge the presenting sponsor of today's and this entire series, Growth Basics for Business, Eat and Peabody. For the past 5 years, Eat and Peabody has been the presenting sponsor of this series, and their continued support for this season is really appreciated. Now I would like to invite Marketing Director Nate Levesque to say a few words. Take it away, Nate.
Great. Thank you, Morgan. First of all, I want to thank the Portland Chamber for doing such a great job of putting these together and providing new and engaging content month after month. I also want to thank our presenter, Laura from EOS Worldwide, for joining us today. Lastly, whether this is your first Growth Basics event or your 10th, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us this morning. For those of you that may not be familiar with our firm, we are a full-service, Maine-based law firm with nearly 50 attorneys serving Maine clients from offices in Augusta, Bangor, Ellsworth, and Portland. We assist companies of all sizes in a variety of industries, so whether you're an established financial institution or a small business just taking your first steps, we can help with all of your legal needs. To learn more about the services that we provide and the industries that we serve, please visit our website, eatandpeabody.com. Also be sure to follow us on Facebook or LinkedIn to stay up to date with legal updates, future presentations, and community events. Thank you, and back to you, Morgan.
Thanks, Nate. Now I'd like to introduce our presenter. With us today is Laura McDowell, Professional EOS Implementer at EOS Worldwide. Laura McDowell is a professional EOS implementer working with entrepreneurial leadership teams to help them gain clarity on their vision, execute that vision with discipline and accountability, and build healthy teams. Over the course of her career, Laura has held roles in marketing, sales, HR, and management, supporting a wide variety of clients in different industries. She loves being able to build relationships while providing tools and coaching that helps people run businesses and live better lives. Laura has certification in training, marketing, and HR, and is a volunteer mentor for the Maine Center for Entrepreneurship and a Vistage trusted advisor. She lives in Gorham with her husband, daughter, and 2 cats who make frequent appearances on her Zoom calls. And with that, I will hand it over to you, Laura.
Thank you so much, Morgan. Really excited to be here today. Really excited to have you join me. And what I want to do, the promise I kind of want to make to you today is that I want to share some actionable information and a really great tool with everybody that attends today that you'll be able to use right away to get more from your business. So let's get started. Okay, so I want to start by first asking you to think about this idea of getting a grip on your business, right? The name of today's presentation was Get a Grip on Your Business. Something about that spoke to you, right? We're all very busy. There's tons of free webinars out there that you could be attending. But something about that title, Get a Grip on Your Business, made you say, I think I'm going to attend that. Maybe it was something in the description. Maybe it was the fact that I have 2 cats. I'm not sure. But you decided to come here. And so I want to talk a little bit about what getting a grip on your business means, why that might sound like something that spoke to you when you read it. And so I want you to take a look at this image that you see here on screen. And I want you to think about your business as if it were that white van down the highway. Okay. So you can picture it, right? It's those white vans. They usually have the 2 like double doors in the back that open from the center. And I want you to imagine that this van is driving 80 miles an hour. It's speeding down the highway. Those doors are open and they're actually just flapping back and forth in the wind. And this is your view. You are running as fast as you can behind that van, trying desperately to catch it. All you want to do is grab onto one of those doors and just fling yourself into the back of that van so that you can get into the driver's seat and at least pretend for a moment that you're in control. But the reality is, of course, you might feel as though your business is actually driving you versus the other way around. And so that's kind of the very grand, dramatic image that I want to paint when we talk about getting a grip on your business. So now that we're all sort of in context, I want you to think about why you came here today, why that was so important to you. Because keeping that in mind as we go through this information, I think will help make sure that you get the most out of it on the other side. So let's move on. I want to ask you a question. And so if we were in person, I would probably ask a few people to share their answers, but I want you to answer this question. If you've got something to write on, I'd love for you to write down the answer to this question. So what is your number 1 business goal? And when I ask you this question, what I want you to think about is, what is the number 1 thing that you are not getting from your business today that you'd like to be getting? All right. And it can be anything. It can be any period of time out into the future. Maybe it's within the next year. Maybe it's 5 years. Maybe it's 10 years, whatever that looks like for you. But what is the number 1 thing that you want to be getting from your business that you're not getting today? And write that down. Okay. Again, you're here for a reason. Something about the title or description of this event spoke to you. So I want you to write this down and I want you to keep it in mind as we go through. All right. The other question that I have for you related to this one is, what is keeping you from reaching that goal? What is the thing that the thing or the couple of things that when you think about hitting this are getting in your way? Another way to think about it is when you wake up at 2:00 in the morning, assuming that those aren't your regular business hours, you're normally trying to sleep at 2 a.m. What is on your mind related to your business? All right. So think about that and keep it in mind. So when I talk with business leaders, and that's really what I get to do kind of day in and day out. I work with leadership teams to help them get more of what they want from their businesses. And so when they come to me, a lot of them are thinking about the frustrations that they deal with, right? That's a word that I hear often, frustration. And so I want to share with you a few of the frustrations, kind of the broader topics related to the frustrations that I hear, because maybe some of these resonate with you. And the point I want to make with all of this is that you're not alone. If you're feeling any of the things that I'm about to share, you're totally normal, right? So I want to preface with that. This isn't designed to be a Debbie Downer webinar or anything, but I want to share with you some of the frustrations and see if any of these resonate with you. So the first one is I hear people talk about control or really lack of control. And it's that concept, like I kind of mentioned before when we looked at the image of the van, that your business is running you instead of you running your business. All right. So that might resonate with you. Profit. All right. Or more specifically, lack of profit. In some capacity, you feel like you are putting in more time, more energy, more money to the business than you are getting in return. All right. Another frustration is around people. Okay. So people obviously are a huge part of our businesses, whether it's our leadership team, our staff, maybe it's our customers, maybe sometimes it's our vendors, maybe sometimes it's ourselves, maybe we're the problem. But people in some capacity might be causing some of your frustration. Another thing that we hear, another term that we hear often is this concept of hitting the ceiling. I feel like we hit a ceiling. You might feel that, especially depending on where you are in your business. Maybe early on, you felt like things were super easy and agile, and you were able to do all the things. And then as time went on, you felt this kind of like, bam, you've hit a ceiling, and you can't get to the other side. You know that if you could break through it, there's more of that great stuff on the other side. But right now, you're feeling real stuck there at the top. And then honestly, this other kind of more general feeling that just nothing is working. All right, maybe you've been dealing with this for a little while. Maybe you've tried a bunch of different things. Maybe you've read some books, you've attended some workshops, you've gone to conferences. Maybe you hired somebody to sort of help come in, a consultant of some kind to help you out. And it just doesn't feel like anything is working. Nothing is making a difference for you. All right. So these are sort of the 5 common categories of frustrations that I often hear business leaders talk about when I meet with them. So I want you to, again, think about these. If these are things that you're feeling, that you've ever felt in your business, you're not alone. So I want to make that real clear that this is totally normal. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about some things that you can do to actually help alleviate some of these frustrations and get back to loving your business again. So let's move forward. Okay, so I want to talk a little with you about the discovery, all right, the discovery that was made that kind of led to the rest of the information that I'm going to share with you today, and the tool that I'm going to share with you that you'll be able to start using right away. So how do we know about all these frustrations? Now that we know about all these frustrations, what are we going to do about them? And so I want to share a little bit of background with you about EOS, okay? And before you tune me out and say, oh my gosh, she's just here to sell us on EOS, I want to let you know that I'm not going to try to sell you on EOS. I just want to give you a little bit of context around how this information came to be, how it got put together, and just really leave you in a better place than you came when you joined me. So don't tune me out. This is not an EOS sales pitch, but I want to share with you a little bit about how we came across this information. And so EOS, it stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System. And it was designed by a man named Gino Wickman. He had done a lot of work with entrepreneurial organizations. He had run his own businesses. He helped run his family business, turn it around, transition it to new leadership. He had been very, very successful at a young age as an entrepreneur and as somebody assisting entrepreneurs in getting more from their businesses. And as he went through the work that he was doing, he started to see some patterns and trends around the differences between the majority of entrepreneurial businesses, like the 95% of entrepreneurial businesses that were, they were doing okay, they were getting by, but everyone was real tired. Everyone was really kind of frustrated. Maybe they weren't getting everything that they wanted. They weren't as profitable. They had people issues, all those things we just kind of talked about. And then that 5% of entrepreneurial businesses that he realized were doing really, really well. They were great businesses, profitable. Everything was running on all cylinders. People were working hard, but they weren't burning themselves out. They weren't working too hard. They were getting back what they were putting into their business. And so he made this discovery. And as he was going through working with these businesses, one of the things he realized was that all entrepreneurs, all entrepreneurial leaders, they wrestle with like 136 issues simultaneously. Now, does that resonate with you? Is that something that you can kind of say to yourself, yeah, sometimes it feels like I am juggling 136 issues at the same time. And I actually met with a new client a couple of weeks ago. And when I shared that kind of, it's not obviously a fact, but when I shared that sort of concept of like, gosh, 136 issues at the same time, he was like, I think it's more like 457. And so I was like, maybe I'll change it up how I share that. So could be anywhere from 136 to 457, whatever that feels like for you. Again, you're not alone. We realize that all entrepreneurial leaders do this. And the thing is that honestly, we kind of love it, right? We kind of love being busy. We kind of love that feeling of having all of these different things going on. Otherwise, we might get a little bit bored. Boredom's not great for us either, because then we start to go off into the wrong areas. We've got to stay focused. So discovering that there's these 136 issues simultaneously, we're all juggling. And so within that discovery, he realized that to the extent that we can strengthen 6 key areas of your business, those 136 issues, they tend to just fall into place because they are really stemming from a root cause tied to one of those areas. And so at EOS, we call them the 6 key components, all right? So I want to share the 6 key components with you, and I'm going to do a deep dive into one of those components today, just because of the amount of time that we've got together. And so, from understanding these 6 key components, what Gino then did was he kind of built out this process and put together these tools and concepts to take clients on a journey to really strengthen those 6 key components. Because he realized that if we can make those 136 issues fall into place, you get to handle new issues, more interesting issues, kind of next level things. They're always going to come up. But it's, are we continuing to kind of groundhog day our business where we're dealing with the same things over and over again, day in and day out? Or are we moving to the next level, continuing to grow this business and solve new things, bring on new ideas? And so this journey designed to help strengthen those 6 key components. The way for me to share that with you, the best way for me to share that with you here today is by sharing with you a model. Okay. And this model is going to show you what it looks like at the end of the journey that I take with all my clients, that Gino has taken with all of his clients, to help strengthen those 6 key areas so you can run a better business and honestly live a better life. And every time I say that statement, run a better business, live a better life, I always feel like it sounds very dramatic. But the reality is, and I've talked with lots of entrepreneurial leaders and leadership teams now over the course of my career, when I say that, people are like, no, yeah, you're right. Because I know that when my business is running really, really well, it's impacting my entire life. And when my business isn't running really, really well, it's impacting my entire life. So a big part of us helping strengthen your business over the course of this time is to really help your overall life be improved on the other side. So let's get going. So this model that I'm going to share with you is the EOS model. All right. And this model starts with your business at the center. Okay. First key component, I mentioned there's 6 key components. So the first key component of your business, of any business, is vision. And the vision component, it's really just about getting everyone in your organization 100% on the same page with where you're going and how you're going to get there. All right, so I'm going to go through this whole model with you. I'm going to share a brief overview of each of the 6 key components. And when we come back around, I'm going to take a deep dive into the vision component today. That's where I'm going to give you a lot more information, give you some actionable information, and share with you a tool that you'll be able to start using right away to get more from your business. So, second key component is people. The people component, honestly, is really about great people, right? You need great people at your business to achieve a great vision. The problem is that this concept of great people, it just means something different in every organization. So the idea is that we've got to figure out what great people look like at your unique organization so that you can get them in place and achieve that vision. The third key component is data. Now, the data component is all about boiling your business down to numbers, facts and figures, and objective information rather than your gut and your feelings and your emotions and that subjective information that so often drives how we make decisions in entrepreneurial businesses. And so part of our discovery was that when your vision, your people, and your data components are really, really strong, your business starts to become a lot more transparent. And so we start to be able to see all of those things like your challenges and the imperfections in your business, but also the opportunities and the ideas that are out there for you. And so we got to figure out what we're going to do with those. And that takes us to the fourth component, which is issues. Now, I'd like to preface this issues component by reminding everybody that we've kind of created this sort of negative connotation around the word issues, but reality is that issues are really just things that we need to be talking about, right? They're things that need to be brought up that we should be discussing. So it's not all bad. So I want you to eliminate any thoughts you have around the concept of issues just being negative. So when we talk about strengthening the issues component, we talk about getting really good at identifying issues as they come up, prioritizing our issues, because we can't solve everything, but we got to be able to prioritize them appropriately, solving them at the root and making them go away for the greater good of the organization, making them go away for good so that we're not constantly solving the same things over and over again. I kind of mentioned that earlier, those 136 issues. We don't want to keep solving the same ones over and over. Fifth key component is process. Our process component is just about getting all of the most important stuff in your business done the best and right way every single time. This helps create consistency and scalability. It helps make your business easier to manage, honestly, more fun to manage, and it's going to make it more profitable. When all of those important things are being done the best and right way every time, your business is going to be more profitable. And the sixth key component is traction. The traction component, being really strong in that component, is all about getting everybody in your organization executing on that vision day in and day out with discipline and accountability. A lot of people hear that word accountability when I talk about this, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's something that we would love to have more of at our business." Maybe we're doing a whole bunch of different things. We're setting great vision. We all are on the same page with what we want to hit, but then the day to day gets in the way, and we never get that traction, and we aren't able to hold each other accountable. We don't have in place what we need to stay accountable to each other, and to the business and to ourselves. And so we always say there's no coincidence that vision is at the top of the model and traction's at the bottom, because if you can't take your vision down to the ground and execute on it, vision without traction is hallucination. Okay. And so this is the EOS model. These are the 6 key components. And so when I work with my leadership teams on strengthening each of these areas, we do actually measure on a scale of 0 to 100%. We use a subjective way of measuring how strong you are. Our goal is to get you to 100% strong so that you can run a better business and live a better life, like I mentioned earlier, knowing that that's utopia, right? Our goal is really to get you to 80% or better in each of these areas, knowing that that bar of 100%, as you get stronger in each of these 6 places, your bar is going to continue to rise, right? What 100% looks like to you is just going to continue to go up. So 80% or better, knowing that most businesses are operating at about 20% in a lot of these areas, and they're really succeeding in spite of themselves. So we don't want any accidental success. We want real intentional success. We want to make sure that you're getting what you want from your business by actually strengthening these components in a way that you feel good about, in a way that works for your business. So let's move on to, there we go, 100% strong. That's our goal. And so there's our quote from Gino Wickman, again, the creator of EOS: "Vision without traction is hallucination." So I shared that with you earlier, and this is something that he's actually said. He still says it to this day, even though he's no longer the owner of EOS. All right, so I want to take you back up to the vision component, because this is where we're going to get a little bit more actionable. So again, if you've got something to write with, if you've got a place to take notes, I'm going to go through this information and share with you the details of this tool that I've got. But don't worry, at the end, I'm going to show you how you can actually get a physical copy of this, a copy that you can get emailed to you, the actual tool that I share. So if you want to take notes, that's great. But you'll be able to actually get access to the tool itself, so that if you can't take notes quickly enough, don't worry about it. You'll have everything that you need after. All right, so coming back up to vision, this is the component I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into today. As a reminder, it's about getting everyone in your organization 100% on the same page with where you're going and how you're going to get there. All right, so think really quickly today about how strong this component might be at your business, right? You probably have a vision. If you're the owner of the business or you're part of that leadership team, you may have a pretty strong idea of what you want for this organization, long and short term. But is the rest of your leadership team on the same page? If you've got a bit of a larger business and you've got a team in place for leadership, is everybody 100% on the same page with this vision? Maybe you are, which is awesome. And then I'll ask you, is everybody else in your organization 100% on the same page? If you could ask anybody in your business today, anyone on your team today, what the vision is for this business, what would they say? Would everybody say the same thing? Okay. And if they wouldn't today, not a problem. Like I said, most businesses are not as strong in this area as they could be. A lot of people think that they've shared this vision. A lot of leaders, especially owners of businesses, think, yeah, I know exactly where I want this business to go. Of course, my people know where they want to go. Well, have they ever asked you? No. Okay. Well, have you ever told them? Have I? So let's get started on how we can make that a reality. So first tool that we use for the vision component, to strengthen our vision component, is something that we call the 8 questions. This is really a discipline, 8 questions. So very simply, I'm going to have you answer 8 simple questions. Now, you're not going to be able to answer them today during this session, but these are going to be questions that I want you to take some time to think about on the other side. Okay. So 8 simple questions. get you all on the same page with where this business is going. So we're going to go through those questions. We keep these questions in a 2-page document that we call the Vision Traction Organizer. We keep the answers to these questions in this document. So this is page 1 and page 2. All right. So when I work with teams, I'm literally giving them a 2-page piece of paper. I don't have a copy easily accessible on my desk. Otherwise, actually, I do. You have good old-fashioned paper document. It's called the Vision Traction Organizer. Everything that you see on screen is here in this piece of paper. We also have digital copies. We've got software that can help with it as well. But good old-fashioned digital piece of paper, make it a digital, non-digital piece of paper. Keep it simple. This is a simplified way of doing strategic planning. All right, so I want to clarify that with you. Entrepreneurial way of strategic planning. So I'm going to go through each of these questions with you one by one so that you understand what the question really means, what the purpose of it is, so that you can answer this after this session when you've got some time to think through. So the first question that we ask is, what are your core values? Okay, and so core values are really just a set of defining characteristics that show who you are at your core and what you want from the culture of your business. All right. And so when we talk about core values, we're not talking about just painting a pretty mural behind the reception desk or creating, fun coffee mugs that have your core values written on them. We're talking about creating core values that you live and breathe and that you hire, fire, review, reward, and recognize against. Okay. So what are the core values for your business? They are going to help define the culture, make sure that you are surrounded by people that fit your culture, people that you want to be surrounded by. All right, so that's core values. Second question is, what is your core focus? Okay, so core focus, this is really something that's been called a million different things in the history of business. Your vision, your mission. Stephen Covey, he called it the voice. Jim Collins, if you've ever read Jim Collins, calls it the hedgehog concept. We call it core focus because it comes from your core. And the idea is really that you should get really clear on your purpose, cause, or passion and your niche. Why do you exist and who do you serve? How do you help serve them? And so we get really clear on what this is so that you can stay laser focused on your core focus. It's the sweet spot of your business. Sweet spot analogy, which I always tell people, I'm not a sporty person, but I learned the concept of the sweet spot, right? It comes from, if you're a golfer or a tennis player or a baseball player, you understand that concept that when you hit the ball with the sweet spot of the racket or the bat or the club, the ball just goes further, straighter, faster, further, right? And so that's where we think about the sweet spot of your business, when you can stay laser focused on it. Get where you want to go faster, easier. That's core focus. The third question is, what is your 10-year target? Okay, and so this is your long-term number one goal for your business. What do you want from your business in the long term? Anywhere from 5 to 30 years out. If you don't like 10 for whatever reason, 5 to 30 years, make it somewhat further out into the future. And then share it. Okay, this is a big thing. I want to make sure that once you've got this goal clarified, that you share it with people. Don't keep it hidden. Let people know what it is. You'll be amazed that as you share this 10-year target, this long-range goal, things just start happening. People just start wanting to help you achieve it. And it really becomes something that feels a lot more tangible for you. So what is that long-term business goal? The next thing I want you to think about is, or rather what I want you to think about once you've set this, once you've really clarified this, is keep this in mind as you go forward. So keep it top of mind and share it. Next question, what is your marketing strategy? When we talk about marketing strategy, we're really talking about 4 things that help you understand who you should be targeting, the people or the businesses that you should be targeting, and what you need to be saying to them. What is the messaging that you need to be sharing to attract them? And so the 4 parts are, what is your target market? This is really about getting you 100% on the same page with the geographic, psychographic, and demographic profile of the person or business that you need to be targeting. You all need to be 100% on the same page with this. The next question is, what are your 3 uniques? Okay, so 3 uniques, proven process, guarantee. These are what make up the messaging. How do you need to be speaking to this target market? 3 uniques are just 3 things that when combined, they help show how you are different and better than your competition. Okay. proven process. So your proven process is just really, we think it should be a visual, illustrated, visual, one-page visual illustration that shows how you take care of your customers from the moment they start thinking about working with you until the time they are long-time satisfied clients. So what is your proven process? And then finally, your guarantee. Your guarantee is just a pledge or promise that helps break down the barriers that we often encounter during our sales and marketing processes, right? What are some things that might be preventing people from taking action, from adopting your product or service? And is there something that you can do to help break down that barrier? All right. So when combined, those four pieces make up your marketing strategy. All right. So now that we've got our core focus, our core values, our core focus, our 10-year target, and our marketing strategy, we know who we are at our core, what we want from our culture. We know what we love to do and are best at. We know where we want to go long term, and we know how we're going to get there with our marketing strategy. We're going to start bringing things a little bit closer down to the ground, to the traction side of things. And I want to also share with you that we often see that the vision component of businesses, of entrepreneurial businesses especially, goes unrealized because of weakness in the traction component. So now we've created sort of our bigger picture side of our vision. Now we're going to start looking at how we make that more real in the shorter term. So we talk about your 3-year picture, okay? And so your 3-year picture, simply, we're going to start by defining revenue, profit, and measurables, okay? What does this business need to look like in 3 short years to keep you on track to get to that 10-year target that you set, that long-range goal? So revenue, profit, measurables, where do we need to be in 3 short years? And then you see the question that says, what does it look like? And a series of bullets below it. And really what we want to do here is paint a picture, all right? Describe what this business looks like in 3 years. Now, the purpose of this is that when all of you, everyone on your leadership team, can close your eyes and you can see this business in your mind, you're that much more likely to achieve it. And when I work with leadership teams to do this exercise, after we go through defining those bullets, I will actually have them all close their eyes. And in my very soothing voice, I will read them out and I will ask them for a verbal yes or no. Do you see it? Do you see it? Do you see it? Because again, it's so powerful when you can close your eyes and see it in your mind. It's so much more likely that you're going to achieve it. The other thing that getting really good at 3-year picture setting does is it makes it a lot easier for us to do 1-year planning, bring it even closer to the ground for execution. And so we move now to the second side of the document, and we talk about your 1-year plan. 1-year plan, very similar. We're going to define revenue, profit, and measurables. Where does this business need to be 1 short year from now to get us lined up to hit that 3-year? And then we set some goals for the year. Okay, 3 to 7 business priorities. What are the most important things that this business needs to achieve in the next year in order to get us lined up for the 3-year? Now, we set 3 to 7 goals, not 27 goals, because less is more. And if you were to ever work with me, you would hear me say less is more a lot. It's a really common phrase because we are so designed to want to do more, to want to solve more, to want to try to take on more because time's going, right? We don't have time. We want to do all the things. Less is more, all right? You'll be a lot more effective when you can keep yourself to 3 to 7. Honestly, less than 7 is better. I don't ever want to see anybody adding like a number 8, a number 9, a number 10 to this page, okay? Less is more. It's an exercise in restraint, trust me. So we get those defined. Where do we need to be in just 1 short year? And then we move on to rocks. Okay, what are your rocks? Now, rocks are just 90-day business priorities. All right, so now that we know 1 year, we need to figure out what do you need to be focused on in the next 90 days? What are your biggest priorities? So revenue, profit, measurables, where do we need to be in the next 90 days? And then we set rocks for the quarter. We set 3 to 7 rocks for the business, 3 to 7 rocks for each member of your leadership team. Again, less is more, all right? And this is where we really start injecting that accountability. So we set rocks for the quarter. What is this priority? And then we identify who, you see that column that's labeled who is accountable for this rock, all right? Who are we going to be looking to make sure that this rock is on track to be accomplished, to be completed at the due date? If it's not, what do we need to do to help them get there? We got one person who's accountable because when more than one person is accountable for something, nobody's accountable, right? We have finger pointing. So we start injecting that accountability. And then we move on to the last question, which is, what is your issues list? And I talked earlier when I shared the model with you that when your vision, your people, and your data are really, really strong, your business becomes a lot more transparent. And so we need somewhere to get all those issues out of your head, those challenges, those ideas, those new opportunities, those imperfections, get them out of your head. There's therapy in getting them out of your head and onto a list somewhere in the business. And so that is the answer to what is on your issues list. And don't worry, we do teach how you can solve those issues at the root, make them go away forever. So this isn't just somewhere where things sit and never leave. But we've got to get them out of your head when they come up, so that you can be focused on all of those other things that we just talked about, those biggest priorities that you need to be taking care of now. All right, and so that is your Vision Traction Organizer, or VTO for short. So now that you're in on it, you call it the VTO. Those are the 8 questions. Okay, so again, this exercise is done as a leadership team. All right, so you sit with your leadership team, go through all these questions, make sure you're all 100% on the same page with the answers to these questions. And then the second discipline that we use to strengthen our vision component is something that we call shared by all. Okay, and so now that you're all on the same page, we got to let everybody else at your business know, right? Let's pretend that you've got 50 people at your organization, you've got 5 people on your leadership team. So 5 of you are real clear in agreement. Now we got to let the other 45 people know. Okay, and so how do we do that? We got to get them in a room, we got to tell them. And so you're going to hold what we call a quarterly state of the company. And this is really where you're going to share out the answers to those 8 questions with your people, because you got to tell them. You've got to share it with them so that they can hear it, they can understand it, they can internalize it, and they want to be part of it with you. Okay, they want to be part of helping you hit that vision. Because if they're not, then you got to make a change, because you need to get to a point where all of your people, all 50 of those people, are on the same page, want to be part of this thing. That's how you become 100% strong in your vision component. Okay, so simple stuff. 2 tools or disciplines to help us strengthen vision. The rest of the model looks pretty similar. Again, we're not going to have time, of course, to go through it today, but these are the 2 things that you'll use to help strengthen the vision component. And so I want you to be able to actually get results. I promised you earlier that the whole point of this was that I wanted to leave you in a place that was better than when you joined me this morning. And I want you to be able to actually get results with this. Okay, so not just theory, these are real world practical tools and disciplines that I teach. And so I want to share with you some resources as we wrap up. EOSworldwide.com. So just to let you know, EOS is a franchise. So I'm a franchise owner. I operate independently as Laura McDowell, but I call myself a one-trick pony. I only implement EOS. So that's how I work with clients. So you can go to EOSworldwide.com. And I always like to say here jokingly, operators are not standing by. So the thing that I absolutely love about EOS is that, or one of the things I should say that I love about this part of EOS is that we are very help first. Okay, this concept of help first, that is one of our core values. So everybody that becomes an implementer, all the employees that work for EOS Worldwide, we are all about delivering value before we would ever get anything in return. So we've made all of these tools available to you for free. This is not the kind of thing where you need to call and speak to somebody. This isn't the kind of thing where you're going to put your information into a form and immediately be bombarded by a salesperson. All right, promise you. So you can go to EOS Worldwide. A few different things. Everything that I've got up here for you is available. The Traction Library, okay? So the Traction Library is made up of a series of books that are designed to share the different tools and processes, the ideas behind EOS. A lot of them are books that people have read where they've never gone any further down into exploring EOS, but they've gotten a lot of value out of these books. If you've never read a book about from the Traction Library, if you're very unfamiliar with what EOS is, I would encourage you to check out the book Traction. That's kind of the first book that was written. Super valuable, again, really actionable book. And you can actually download a free version of the very first chapter. So you can kind of take a look at it and get a feel for whether it's something that resonates with you. Is it worth investing your time in the rest of it? There's also tons of downloadable tools and videos. So the Vision Traction Organizer that I shared with you, it's part of what we call our toolbox, and it's absolutely free. So you can go onto the website, fill out your information, and you can download the entire toolbox, which includes a copy of the Vision Traction Organizer. There's also tons of different videos and things like that, blog posts that can help walk you through and maybe answer some additional questions you might have around utilizing the tools. And then finally is a 90-minute meeting. So the 90-minute meeting is something that I'm able to offer all of the leadership teams that are interested in further exploring EOS. And again, it delivers a lot of value, even if you never move further into the process. During that meeting, we do go again into the Vision Traction Organizer. You get a copy of it, and that goal is that you walk out of there and you use that tool regardless of whether you go anywhere deeper with the EOS process. But it's a super, super valuable tool for getting you all on the same page and then sharing that out with the rest of your team. And so if you're up for it, you can actually scan this QR code. I've got it right up here on the screen. So you can scan that with your phone camera, and that will take you right to the page where you can go to download your VTO. And I'll go back to that in a second, but that is it. Okay. So step one, I would say, for running a better business, living a better life, is use that Vision Traction Organizer document. Get everybody on the same page with it. Share it out with the rest of your people. Make sure you've got a team behind you that wants to help you achieve that vision. They understand it and they want to be part of that for you. And so that is everything that I've got for you today. I'm happy to answer questions if there are any, but otherwise I'll go back to my QR code page in case anyone wants to scan it. So
Thank you so much, Laura. That was a great presentation.
thanks, Morgan.
Yeah, I actually had a question. Aside from the first 3 spheres that you were talking about, is there any order that you believe each piece should come in, like first, or like any preceding order?
In terms of like the components in the model? Yeah, so that's a really great question. And we get that question sometimes because sometimes people are like, oh, we've got so much going on. We're so busy. Where do we focus? And so I do think, I know you said the first 3, right? I do think vision is the most important one to get everybody, again, on that same page. But that being said, this is probably going to be the answer that you don't want to hear, but I really recommend approaching them all simultaneously, which I know can sound really overwhelming, but the idea is that we don't want to strengthen one area at the expense of another area, where you may spend a lot of time on one thing, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, we never really started taking care of that issues component. But as we were going through the rest of this, that kind of information was really bogging us down. The process that I work with clients on, and you'll kind of see it if you were to read Traction or go through some of the tools that we've got for free on the website, are really designed to help you start implementing in a way that we call a spaced learning method. So it's like getting a lot of information at once and then going back into your business and executing, right? Trying it out, testing it, failing, but getting a real feel for all the different tools and how they can help you over time. And then coming back, doing another review. Are we doing everything good? Are we all on the same page with how we want to use these tools in our business? Are we feeling that that shift in how things are going? Add a little bit more onto it, and then again, back into the business. So filling our brains, executing, coming back, refilling, revisiting. And we find that that's a really effective way for busy leadership teams to get the information they need, but then actually start using it, right? This isn't theory, this is real world. So it's dedicating some time at these intervals to really get what you need and then getting back into your business.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And it looks like we did have a question in the meantime. Kim Crab asks, can you share them? I'm assuming it's them. I'm not, I didn't catch what she was referring to. Kim, could you clarify what? Oh,
she's looking for the URL. So, so I will give you, I'll give you my URL because that will take you, rather than going to eosworldwide.com, if you go to eosworldwide.com/Laura-McDowell, and actually I have that on here, so I think you can see that clearly. I've got like a little thing over it on my side, but that right at the bottom there will take you to my kind of micro site on the EOS site, and there'll be a place where you can, I think it's down towards the bottom of the page, and you'll be able to go and put your info in, and you'll immediately get an email with those tools.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Laura. And I also want to just let everybody know that, also let Laura know that if there's any tools that you want to, any links, any slides, feel free to share them with us and we will send them out in our newsletter that goes out right after this event. So if you're not signed up for our newsletter, it's you can find a way to on our website. It's a really useful tool. We tend to send out a lot of resources there. So, looks like we have one more question. How should I start getting everyone on the same page that you mentioned? What's the best way to share or bring up the new plan with everyone to start?
All right, that's an awesome question. And so that takes us back to, we've answered our 8 questions, right? So definitely start with your leadership team. So if you've got a team that, and I know businesses, we all come in all shapes and sizes, right? So if you've got a team at a size where you've got your leadership team of people and then the rest of your organization, you want to go through the exercise with the 8 questions, filling out that vision traction organizer at the leadership team level, right? Get everybody in that room 100% on the same page. And then what you want to do is you're going to hold a quarterly state of the company meeting, all right? And it sounds much fancier than it really is. But the idea is really to just be sharing, right? Be transparent, communicate with the rest of your team what's on that 2-page document. Okay, now I'm not saying that you stand up there with your 2-page document and you read all of it. You could put it into a PowerPoint or, if you want to have it in some sort of document that you hand out, whatever feels good for you. But the idea is that you want to share with them kind of where you were, how did we do last quarter, right? So we kind of do a quarterly review. How did we do last quarter? Where are we today? What are our goals for today? And here's our vision, right? As a reminder, here are our core values, everybody. This is our core focus as a reminder. Here's where we want to go long term. Okay, so you're going to share all of that with them in a way that feels good to you. And if you go to the EOS website, and I can make a note and actually share a link directly to it. There is and again, it's so simple. It's so simple. It's not a complicated meeting agenda or anything like that. But there is like a blog post that talks about the state of the company agenda, essentially. So I can share that with Morgan and we can get it out. So this way you've got that there. And feel free to reach out with any questions as well. Don't overcomplicate it. Make it something that feels good to you. Make it something that you're going to be able to stick to and get your employees used to that. Like we're going to get an update every quarter with where the business is, how's it going. Because the other thing I didn't mention is that with that vision traction organizer, I want you to pull it out again every 90 days, right? So once you've gotten those questions answered, you're going to get together every quarter and you're going to go back through and look at those rocks, right? How did we do? Did we accomplish what we set out to do? Did we complete all those rocks? Let's go back through the vision traction organizer, make sure we're all still on the same page, because sometimes you're not, right? Sometimes things come up or sometimes somebody changes their mind or they feel differently about something. So we got to make sure we're all still on the same page every 90 days. And sometimes that review process goes really fast, right? And other times you might have to dig in a little deeper to some of those areas. But make sure you're all still on the same page. Get your rock set for the next quarter. And then you're going to go back out to that business. You're going to share with everybody an update on how we did last quarter. Here's our vision as a reminder. Here are our biggest priorities for the next quarter. They can all start to feel like they're also part of that with you. And they're there helping drive that vision, helping you achieve those goals.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think that's, unless anybody else has any questions, I think that is a wrap on this presentation. Laura, thank you so much for an amazing presentation. That was incredibly insightful, and I just really appreciate you being on Growth Basics today. Thank you so much.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much, Morgan. Have a great day.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.
And thank you to the